So there was a time where Yu-Gi-Oh was once one of the biggest trading card games in the world. You usually had your locals completely filled with tables. You had many rounds of Swiss big regional events, a very well-driven community. But I've noticed over the last few years, there's just been a steep decline in the game itself. You could also factor in, you know, poorly optimized mechanics, overly complicated mechanics, uh, really disappointing prizing, that's for sure. And these constant concerns about the meta constantly switching up and people not really fast enough to adapt. So, because of this, this creates a factor for the trading card game itself. And it also contributes to the local attendance at your LGS. You know, if your pricing is bad, if your mechanics are complicated, if your meta is way too fast, less people are going to show up at your store. Which this isn't the local game store's fault. This is Konami's fault. Because back then, I'd say before COVID, you'd have at least 30 to 40 people at my local game store a week playing locals. Everybody would be trying out different decks, seeing what works. But now it's come to a point where if you don't have your hand traps, if you aren't playing this very specific meta build, then you're going to get your ass handed to you. You're going to get belt to ass. So this often makes people stop attending locals and switch to other games like Lorcana, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, One Piece. And that's the thing too. Yu-Gi-Oh has fallen off so much to the point where now One Piece is taking its place. And One Piece hasn't really been around that long, which is crazy because a game that is still like very early in the scene is dethroning one of the big 3 TCG games. Magic the Gathering's still going strong. Pokemon, I mean, that's kind of just turned into its own beast. What with scalpers, what have you. But that's besides the point. It's also uh, become an issue for new players to pick up Yu-Gi-Oh! Only because of how difficult it is to learn the mechanics, figuring out what to hand trap, what exact combo you have to play, what spells you have to look out for, what traps, how to stop summoning, what to negate exactly. It's become crazy. It's even gotten to a point where now people have set up these paywalls for fucking Excel spreadsheets in order to understand the game's mechanics. First of all, no TCG game should require some type of stupid ass flow chart that needs where do I combo? What do I negate? If this happens, then do this. If my opponent does this, then do this. Like no, that's just infuriating. You're adding like all these layers of complexity to a game that just doesn't need to be there. It becomes like overwhelming, becomes intimidating, it becomes frustrating, requiring all this extensive knowledge for timing and ruling on cards that have literally a whole ass novel in the text box. You have to squint with your eyes just in order to read them. Is crazy. The learning curve that comes with these metas ends up becoming unattractive to people still trying to get their feet wet, still trying to dip their toes into the water in order to better themselves and get good at the game. And I've seen this happen at many types of locals, like whole bunch of people. It's just that if you haven't been playing the game for the last 10 years, every weekend at your locals or at your regionals, nationals, whatever, man, it is going to be tough. It is going to be tough to adapt to whatever the fuck the meta is at the time. Also, too, is that Yu-Gi-Oh has this power creep that accelerates dramatically. These new archetypes often have stronger effects, faster combos, and more consistency than older decks, which makes that adaptability even fucking harder. So, you'll spend 300 or 400, sometimes $700 just to have a deck that is ready to go, ready to play, has all the hand traps, has all the negates, all those staple cards that you need, your fucking illusion gates, your Nibiru's, your whatever. And then people you'll play against will move so fast that you're just like, wait, what? Hold on, slow down. And they're not gonna, sometimes they won't even slow down for you to pick up. So you just like get so overwhelmed and overstimulated that it often becomes just infuriating to play. You're not having a good time. But even then, if you get past all that, then you decided, hey, we're going to step it up a notch. All right, so you're going to go compete in the national tournaments, right? So you're going to have your travel expenses, your food, your entry fees, all of that shit, just so that you have the chance to win a poor quality fabric mat, an orange deck box that you can probably get off eBay because some schmuck was like, yeah, fuck this. I don't even want it. And then sells it for $50. You can go pick that deck box up for $50 and then just call it a day. And then if you make top four or like first place or whatever, you'll get a fucking air fryer or you'll get a Nintendo Switch or some cheap ass fucking prize along with some another verse card, just some fucking shelf piece to say, "Oh, look at me, I won. I got first place. Look at this another verse card that barely people know about." It's like, bro, what? You fucking kidding me here? But then you look at other games like Magic, where people will have these crazy prize pools, even for something as like a local uh CEDH tournament, like a commander tournament. Top prize is $1,000. That'll fucking locals. Like what? That alone would be more of an incentive to kind of play commander. Because then you're like, oh man, if I build this deck and if I just play it right, then I have a chance of winning $1,000. That's an incentive for people to keep playing. Having all these exclusive cards, these trophies, and all this other bullshit, that's all good and all, but that's only bragging rights. Them bragging rights ain't gonna put food on your table, ain't gonna pay your car note, ain't gonna pay your insurance, whatever, what have you. So it's like, why even bother entering in these national tournaments? It's stupid. And this concept of a tournament prizing has been a recurring issue that Konami just doesn't want to focus on. They just want to focus on this is the event, these are the same prizes, it's cost efficient. Okay, now play. Play for your slot prizes. Okay, cool. Yeah. And it's like, why? Really, like any normal person would look at what there is to offer for winning a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament and think this isn't worth my time. I just get bragging rights for the week or for the month or for the year, and then that's it. They just leave it at that. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Don't get me wrong, there's still like dedicated people to this game. I mean, still at regionals you'll have, at least 100 or a couple hundred people. And these new sets, they still sell. They still fly off the shelves. But at the same time, it's still not enough to gather in new money, new revenue. You're just getting the same people buying the same shit and that can only hold you up for so long to the point where your profit margins just aren't attractive. It's just not it. So if Konami wants to address the complexity, the power creep, tournament rewards, and fix them so that it's on par with Pokemon, Lorcana, Magic, One Piece, only then will you start gathering new players. Sure, you can make new products that give you that boost, that oomph in adapting to the current meta, like they did with the legendary modern decks, but that can only do you well for so long and only get you so far. What it comes down to is the game actually dying? Is the community evolving? What can be done to help local tournaments grow? How can we help new players adapt to the game quickly? Oftentimes, if it's not the company taking charge on these issues, then it has to be the community that does it.